I'm getting ready for our my Restore membership call on Thursday, where we're going to be looking at being neurospicy. For all my life until 2-3 years ago, I just thought that the symptoms I was displaying were due to the trauma that I'd gone through, because I had a full array of trauma in childhood: physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, bullying. And I just thought that had completely distorted my mind until I went to an autism training, and I was like, oh, wow, these qualities are things that I have. And parents started complaining about things that their children were doing and saying they do this on purpose. And I was like, no, let me understand what's happening. And through explaining to them the sensitivity issues or sensory issues or concentration issues, I realized that I could explain it well, because that's how I'd been all my life. And that's probably why I got so targeted and scapegoated in childhood. There were things as an adult that I did that I just thought were trauma symptoms, like I would either get really upset very quickly, or I would completely shut down and I couldn't function. And this I could easily define, and have for the last years as a therapist, defined as, oh, you're triggered because of hyperarousal and you are shut down because of the dorsal vagus nerve, and that's a trauma response. And I could explain it like that. And then I found out that folk who have ADHD and autism both have those shutdowns. So in the language in neurodiversity, it's a meltdown and a shutdown. And suddenly I could see, oh, there's something going on here, that it's not just, all my behaviors are not just because of trauma. There were things that I had in trauma that weren't showing up in autism or ADHD, like flashbacks or intrusive thoughts of past trauma that were clearly to do with trauma. But I went through EMDR, internal family systems therapy, brain spotting, talk therapy, CBT, somatic therapy, trauma release therapy, and still these things were there. So I suddenly got, oh, this is part of me. This is part of who I am, not something that can be fixed, not something that magically can be eliminated, because it's who I am. And now it's looking at, okay, so if this is part of me, how can I actually work with who I am with no shame, with no making myself wrong for who I am, but really working with it? So I'm going to be doing that more on in our Neurospicy session. If you want to come and join us, that's the link, restoring.love/NSM. Learning about the differences has been really fascinating. The things that of intense emotions, anxiety, shutdown, memory problems, disorganization, all are common in ADHD and trauma. And then there's hyperfocus in ADHD and autism. But between autism and trauma, there are things like anxiety, intense emotions, being more impulsive, or struggling with sleeping. There are so many different things that are happening that are similar. When we just look at it through the lens of trauma, then we often have a thing of, what can I fix or change? That it's a problem. When you look at it through the lens of being neurospicy, you're looking at it through a lens of, this is who I am, and what can I do to be able to feel more alive, more empowered, more connected to myself, more accepting of who I am, instead of making myself wrong and trying to be normal or typical. How can I actually work with my neurospiciness to, instead of fitting into this capitalistic world, how can I work with my neurospiciness to honor who I am rather than try to be like everybody else? Doing this work for the last couple of years of shifting just from a lens of it's all trauma that happened to me into seeing, oh, I was very different as a kid. And that's probably why I got targeted. And so I felt ashamed of those parts of me. And so I've been unshaming myself and learning to work with the struggles like of rejection sensitivity dysphoria and executive function struggles, things that are really hard to cope with. If you would like some support with that, then come and join us. If you sign up there on Thursday, we're going to be looking at those things of what are the struggles with executive function that both people who have trauma or neurospiciness experience, and how can you work with that executive function challenges and see what type of executive function do you struggle with and what are the skills that you need for each one. So instead of thinking that you are just bad for these experiences, whether it's because of the trauma or because you're neurospicy, what are the tools that you can use now to be able to go with your flow, to honor you, to be home for you, to cherish you, and to see the gift that you are and own the struggles that you have instead of just seeing yourself as a problem that needs to be fixed and changed. We'd love to have you with us in the Restore Call. The link's there. Come and join us. And know, my biggest message, whether you've got trauma or you've got neurospiciness, is not to think that you are bad simply because of your differences, but of really owning who you are and deeply accepting who you are so that you can thrive in life, because you're so worthy and deserving of a beautiful, wonderful life. All right. Okay, your sons had the ADHD assessment last week, and they're considering if trauma is part of the diagnosis. That is great, because when there's trauma part of the diagnosis, there are other things that are happening that might be like intrusive thoughts, flashbacks. Does he startle easily? Does he get more irritable? Does he disassociate a lot? All of those are symptoms of trauma more than ADHD. And when you're aware of that, then you can work with regulation tools and safety and being able to process those in a different level to what ADHD is, of the hyperactivity or impulsiveness or impatience that require different tools. But for me, a diagnosis really helps to understand, this is the specific issue and challenge. So, and the label for me, everybody is different, but the label for me has helped me go, phew, this describes what is happening to me. And now I can get the tools to be able to support myself to do the things that matter to me and function in a way that honors who I am. And that, those two things of quick to temper and hard to self-regulate are both very ADHD and trauma. And so I can understand them saying trauma and ADHD. And I'm so glad that you're getting him support now, because that helps him to be able to understand he's not bad, he's not wrong. He just has these two differences that he needs extra support with to be able to function and thrive in the world. It's not easy. And I am so with you and sending you so much love, and so glad that you're getting him the support that he needs so that he can learn to regulate. I know for me that when the trauma led to me having more than autism and ADHD, I think led to me getting angry. Like would get quick to anger hugely and then doing EMDR and other trauma therapies really helped me to calm my nervous system, and then regulation tools. I don't get angry like I used to. So I can see that it's a mix of both, and it's hard to work with. It's a long journey, and I'm proud of you for getting the support so that you can, or the diagnosis, so then you can identify what support is needing. All right, sending you so much love, and look forward to seeing those of you who are with us in Restore in the Neurospicy support session this Thursday. And anybody's welcome to join just for this session. Normally, we just do general Q&As with the Restore and keep it just with ourselves. But when I was describing this, others said, why don't you invite people? Because it's directly to do with neurospicy stuff. So come and join us if you'd like to grow and learn about your own neurospiciness or those who you love. Sending you love.